When you have loved ones or friends who need help handling their daily affairs, whether they are elderly or disabled, relatives or neighbors, and you believe they need a guardian to handle those affairs, and when all other alternatives aren't realistic or have not worked, it often becomes necessary to file what is called an interdiction in the Louisiana court system. In Louisiana, the legal term for a guardianship of an adult is called an interdiction. Your friend or relative is referred to as the potential interdict. The person appointed to be the guardian is called the curator. In addition, the court appoints what is called an undercurator, who has certain oversight duties. Video number 3. What are the duties of the curator of the person?
Once appointed and in receipt of the letters of curatorship, the first step for the curator of the person is to communicate with the interdict as much as possible, considering the interdict's medical condition. Where does the interdict want to live? Where can the interdict afford to live? What social activities does the interdict want to do and can continue to do? Who are the friends and family of the interdict who would want to have continuing contact and visitation with the interdict? Visit the interdict at least once a month, if not more often, if in the case of a crisis or any major changes. Communicate with the interdict's doctors, dentists, and other medical professionals. Provide all of them with certified copies of letters of curatorship appointing you. Include all of your contact information, phone, email, address, so they know how to get in touch with the curator of the person whenever they need it. Be sure to provide each of the medical professionals a complete copy of all of the interdict's prescriptions, which includes a list of all the prescriptions they take, the dosage, how often they take it, the doctor who prescribes it, as well as the phone number. This becomes an essential part of what the curator of the person will do to protect and be in the best interest of the interdict regarding medical decisions. Go to all of the medical appointments with the interdict to introduce yourself to the doctors, to make sure they have your letters, all of your contact information, and so as a curator, you'll know the medical status, what they can and can't do, what activities they could continue in, and what services all these medical professionals recommend for the interdict. Keep in mind all the options that are available today to help with the care of the interdict. Bank apps, grocery apps, transportation provided by the councils on aging, and any other service that can be provided to the interdict that would make your job as the curator of the person easier. Collect all of the documents that belong to the interdict, whether it's old powers of attorney, living wills, do not resuscitate orders, last wills and testaments, anything that would help you understand what the interdict would want in any of those medical situations. A curator has to allow communication, visitation, and interaction between family and friends and any interdict who's over the age of 18 years of age, as long as it is in the best interest of the interdict. If there are family and friends who the interdict wants to visit or communicate with, be creative if you have concerns regarding that family or friends. Consider supervised visits, consider visiting in public places, consider FaceTime visits with the family and friends so that the interdict will have contact with those folks. An important warning here for curators of the person. A curator can be removed by a court for good cause, which can include not allowing that communication, visitation, or interaction when it's in the best interest of the interdict. Next, the curator of a person must develop a written plan of care outlining the goal of the interdiction, the medical care of the interdiction, the residence, and even visitation. These things should be developed in this plan of care and reviewed every 6 months or more often whenever there's a major change in the interdict's well-being. Communication with the undercurator. A curator must inform the undercurator reasonably in advance of any material changes in the living arrangements of the interdict and any material transactions affecting the interdict. The undercurator has to review all annual reports and has an opportunity to object to those annual reports each year. A curator has to be advised of any interaction that would require their concurrence, such as selling real estate. Any legal documents or reports filed in court have to be provided to the undercurator before those documents are filed in court. The undercurator should be your ally. Be sure to keep the undercurator in the loop at all times. The undercurator, by law, has free access to all of the interdict's medical, financial, and personal records affecting their interdiction. Communication with the court. A curator can't move the interdict outside this state without prior court approval. A curator can't consent to an abortion or sterilization of the interdict without prior court authorization. Neither a curator nor a court is allowed to commit or admit an interdict to any mental health facility unless they do so by following the mental health statutes in Louisiana. Those are the things that a curator can't do. What does a curator need to do to communicate with the court? As you know, a curator of the person has to file an annual report with the court, or more often, if requested or ordered by the court. The report also has to be filed at the termination of the interdiction, whether that be that it is dissolved or that the interdict passes away. The annual report has to include where the interdict lives, if there are any changes in the interdict's residence, in the changes in their medical status, any changes in the socialization or their ability to participate in social activities. It also has to include visitation by family and friends, as well as visitation by the curator of the person. So keep a good list of how often and when the curator of the person visits the interdict and where that occurs. Finally, communicate all of your activities in a written journal, including all dates, activities, who you spoke to, and what was the outcome. Keep copies of all of the documents that you reviewed and received through the entire interdiction. This will protect you and be accessible to remind you of all that you have done for the interdict. For more information about interdictions, go to goea.la.gov. There's a brochure there on interdiction Q&As, and there's also an excellent brochure on interdiction checklist. Those would help answer any other questions that you have regarding your responsibilities as the curator of the person.
A supporting PDF document of video number 3 is available at the Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs website, goea.la.gov. For next steps, go to video number 4. What are the duties of the curator of property?